Welcome to the Sustainable Clinical Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Sarah Smith. I am a practicing rural family physician and the charting coach. This is the podcast for physicians and advanced practice providers who are ready to step back from the busyness of their clinical day to share ideas, question everything, and redesign their clinical day. We are redesigning clinical medicine to create sustainable clinical days and create time for our lives outside of medicine. Join us for discussions with world experts who are helping design sustainable models of clinical medicine and the physicians or clinicians who have discovered or designed sustainable models of clinical medicine for themselves. Hello, everybody. Today we have a guest coach and we're going to talk about time creation. Aren't you excited? Dr. Tsung is with us today. Welcome. I'll let you introduce yourself to us.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much, Sarah, for having me here. So for your audience, my name is Tsung. My training is in emergency medicine, critical care, and aerospace medicine. My full-time job, I work at NASA as a flight surgeon or flight doctor for the astronauts. So I am surrounded by peak performance. And so I have also founded ProductivityMD, and I am the time creator coach for entrepreneurs and doctors who are typically torn between scaling a business and spending time with their kids and their spouses. Also have a podcast called Productivity MD. We invest in short-term rentals, real estate, and also syndication. And I'm a mom of I guess she's 5 months now, and a 2-year-old right now. So yeah, lots of fun stuff going on. I'm in Houston, Texas.
What I find fascinating about that is you have these little people at home. And even our organizing Marie, I can't think of her last name right now, had to abandon organization in the small littles time when she had littles. Mm-hmm. And so I'm so fascinated that you have this time creation and productivity, and now you're even putting it in context of working and having real estate and having this Productivity MD podcast and course and littles.
Yes, I would say that these little ones, when the first one was born, it was the main drive to actually 10x my productivity. And then when the second one was born, I was like, oh man, I'm going full out, and I started using AI before she was born, but I am like going full out on AI to even enhance my productivity, because when I coach my clients, it's always about never sacrificing your non-negotiables, which is typically with your loved ones and your own health, and be able to scale whatever you're doing, either in, as an inventor or an entrepreneur in business, medical practice. It's super important that we never sacrifice it. And which is how I've lived my life and how my ideals and values are. So I want to spend at least like 3 to 5 hours a day with my kids.
Wow, very good. So we're eager to learn all the things. What drove you into this peak performance in the first place? Because that's even itself an interesting story, I'm sure.
I think maybe into space. Is that what you mean, into this aerospace medicine world?
Even that peak performance of, like, you've gone adventuring and you've done some really big physical things, but you've also got to NASA flight surgeon. That doesn't take like 5 minutes to do that.
Actually, yeah, I think I calculated what it took me. It took me 16 years since I set that goal. And I think in general, what drove me to peak performance, I wonder, in general. I think I was born in Taiwan, and my mom, she was, my parents were divorced when I was a baby. So it was just my mom and I. And I feel like perhaps I've always felt a drive or need to succeed because my mom depended on me, and that I cannot fail. So I think that's probably the origin of me always striving to be like, an A player or a type A person, whatever I got to do, because I'm the only person that she can depend on when, later on, there's nobody else. And then going further would be, multiple different, I guess, life events. But I would say at first was going through residency, fellowship. I really wanted to be ultra productive, be healthy, because I feel good when I lift, when I do Olympic weightlifting. And I want to be productive because I can spend time going to like social, dinners with my friends and family. And then later on, when I had, my married husband, kids, that's like even more of a driving force to be ultra productive, efficient, a peak performer in my life so I can model it for my kids. So that's another driving force. And when I talk about peak performance, it's not about work. It's not just work. I want to be a peak performing mother. I want to be a peak performing wife as well. And I want to have that balance in all wheels of life, peak performance and contribution, not just medical career at all. So
Yeah. Interesting. So interesting. And I saw that as part of the adventuring that you had conquered and the sport, that it wasn't just in the medical field that you were looking to do big things. And then you chose a goal that took you 16 years. Tell us about that. Why NASA? Why flight surgeon? Why put this on the kind of goal map and drive for it? What was that about?
yeah, I think maybe their original interest was when I was younger, probably like I don't remember 5 or something. I think through like kids' encyclopedias, learning about the planets, learning about astronauts, I just thought it was super cool. And then when we immigrated, we moved to Houston and then went to the Space Center. I was about 9 years old, and that piqued my interest even more. And then when I was 19, that's when I set the goal. I remember in my bedroom, I set the goal to myself that no matter what profession I went into, I was going to contribute to NASA and space somehow because I just thought it was really cool, bigger than myself. Everything is just super interesting. I'm intrigued by it. When I was in medical school, I decided whatever specialty I went into that I was gonna go work for NASA. So I Googled at Borders bookstore when it existed, Googled how to get in, and I realized there's an aerospace medicine fellowship. And there's like other rotations you can do as a medical student. So I went down that route, bam, 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 and then followed the path, and then got hired on 2020.
Perfect. Love it. It's just nice to see that dream come true. I mean, that progress through. And you got to create it in your way. I'm interested that at 19, you were like, I don't know what career I'll end up with, but I know where I want to be working or contributing to it. I think that was more key. I don't want to work there. I want to contribute to NASA.
Yeah, I think I knew at that time in high school I was always going to medicine. So I was in the medicine round.
Yes.
So I think already at that time I was like, I don't know what I want to do, but yes, down the line I want to do NASA. Then
Yes.
yes, like with
Yeah.
micro steps and like a very clear outcome, even though, and I think that's what I also teach my clients. We always start with outcomes first, no matter
Yeah.
how far away it is or how impossible it seems like, and then we chunk it down and then just took micro steps and then to get there. So
Beautiful. All right. Okay. So now you're in the throes of all the busyness. Was there something that when you came up against challenges to this performing you outside of medicine, whether it be sport, relationships, when it was challenged by the hours and hours of work or other things, what is it that would help you pivot or change things up to increase the productivity? Tell us about some of those circumstances where you've kind of hit that challenge and needed to reframe.
You're talking about mindset and tactical house
Yeah,
or both?
possible. Yeah, absolutely. The mindset and the technical how.
Yeah, like basically when you feel overwhelmed that there's so many
Mm,
things to do, you're not making progress. What did I do to actually go
yeah, get
forward?
out of that. Yeah, move forward.
No, yeah, I would say the first time it's always been I've been able to handle it when you're like single or just has like a
Mhm.
boyfriend. That's easy. And but when I had my firstborn, I felt like I lost my identity as a player. I felt like a peak performance person. I felt like I lost progress because I couldn't make any progress. And then I changed my mindset now, but at that time I was thinking, all I'm doing is feeding, pumping, Cleaning, sleeping, waking, that's all I'm doing. But good thing I had a coach then, Dr. Vikram Raya. It was like, you mean like all you're doing is raising a human being and keeping a human being alive, and that's all you're doing? So that was my first change in my mindset. Second change in my mindset is always leveraging out others' expertise. So what I did, long story short, I hired a virtual assistant to help me scale my coaching practice. I hired a house manager slash nanny to help me with all the other stuff that doesn't have to do with face-to-face time with my newborn. And I have cleaners, I have lawn person, I outsource to various contractors, I have deliveries, doing deliveries of my packages, returns, because I don't do deliveries anymore or any drop-offs. And so I would say that was like the first breakthrough in terms of 10xing my productivity. And then the second breakthrough with the second child, I would say it's the mindset. I will tell you, the mindset is huge with the second child. At 8 weeks, I realized that we feel like we're not making progress. I felt like I wasn't making progress, is because of my own sense of urgency. I placed an imaginary deadline on myself and my goals. And when I don't go as fast as others or as fast as my own goals and deadlines, I feel bad because I'm not making progress. And I actually made a very conscious decision to stop and not take on anything new during maternity leave, nothing business at all whatsoever, and make progress with my kids, with my daughters, and be curious and be playful just as much as they are, and use them as my teachers. So I would say maybe the first thing is stop putting imaginary deadlines and urgency on yourself and stressing yourself out, because a lot of times we are actually living pretty good lives, and then we are living in the gap and comparing ourselves to others. And then second thing would be leveraging others, hiring out others to help you so you can cherish those moments with your kids. And third thing is I would say using AI to kind of shorten the time that you do things, even for household, real estate, and my business coaching. Long story short, does that answer your question?
Yes. I mean, that was brief. We're going to kind of dig in a little bit there. So I heard a few things that were interesting. But yes, it does. It answers the question. And I love that I put a deadline, and then I decided to, one, move what I was calling productive. And productive is getting to know this newborn. And two, I moved the deadline, or I let go of how hard I was holding the deadline. I just let me decided where the deadline was, and then me decided I could change it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. I think, one thing I do tell people is we often set these, it's super important, like to me, it's such a big realization. We set these deadlines because we want to achieve it fast for our family, right? For our loved ones. And then we sacrifice the current present moment and time with our loved ones to achieve those deadlines. It doesn't make any sense because you're aiming for an imaginary future that may or may not be there. You never know what could happen with your loved ones or yourself one day, right? You don't know if you're going to get there. The only present moment is now, and you're sacrificing those moments now to achieve this imaginary goal. And another thing I tell people with my clients with young kids is that they're modeling everything that you're doing. So and what you do with them shapes them through adulthood and how they interact with their kids. So it's super important for you to pay attention to them, to model the behavior that you would like them to see and to model for the future.
Yeah, yeah. And that makes sense because you want to be enjoying your life and you want your kids to be enjoying their lives. So you don't want to have this franticness if there's a different way.
Yeah, or they feel like you're working too much. A lot of times I hear it from my clients is that their kids tell them, like, I wish you would work less, or you're working too much. And I really want people to get to a state where they're working and you can just stop and close your laptop if your kids come in to ask for your attention. You're just like, okay, I'm done. Close the laptop. Let's go. Do whatever you want. We can go watch caterpillars and lizards. That's fine.
Perfect. Okay. So you wanted to tell us then the things you've been understanding about how AI can help you in different contexts. in part of this journey of getting more of your time back. And I know my audience also want to have more of their time back, more time for life outside of medicine. They want to be able to get their work done in a productiveness and efficient way. So tell us, what are you learning? What have you found out that you like to share?
Yeah. Maybe like there's gonna be three parts to it. Maybe I can
Mm-hmm.
talk a little bit about
Mm-hmm.
household, what I do with real estate, what I do with business, and maybe a little bit on medical practice. I'll touch on medical practice a
Mm-hmm.
bit because that will be the shortest part. So I'll do that first. Because I myself have not personally tested on the medical practice. This is through others who have tested
Mm-hmm.
the scribes that I know for
Mm-hmm.
charting, right? Because
Yeah.
this is going to
Yeah.
be probably important for. Have you experienced with the scribe AI charting?
Yeah, so the Scribe
Oh.
AI charting, I really just want because there's two sides to this coin. One is for some of you, it is the missing piece, the
Mhm.
final thing that brings it all together. So it's a tool for your tool belt. For others, it is makes everything slower because you have to teach and train your scribe. You have to find a place to review these scribed notes and then finalize your chart. And the early versions may not be the right for you. And so that Mac 2, Mac 3, Mac 5, Mac 17 version of this might be when you want to say, this is now a tool for my tool belt, and I'm going to put down this idea that I'm going to go first with this because it's slowing me down. So that's the two kind of sides of the coin, the big sides of the coin. A lot of people are saying, I put it in there and it was the final tool for my tool belt that I needed, and it's amazing. And I hear a lot of others saying, I cannot. It's slowing me right down. So I just want to kind of let physicians know and clinicians know that you don't have to find that this is the thing.
Yes. And you know what? I think that's a great segue because with everything I talk about, you will test it for yourself because
Yeah.
I agree, AI is new. It's still learning. You're learning. All the platforms I'm talking about, you may not be right for you. You will test it for yourself. There's also different AI, not just ChatGPT. There's Perplexity, there's Claude. So test for yourself. Okay. So I think we can maybe talk about maybe as a over bird's eye view, there's different levels of using AI. So number one, I would say if you're not doing this already, you would get the paid. If you have a business or if you want to, really get what it's worth, like what AI can give you, get the paid version of ChatGPT because it has search capabilities. So $20 a month, 20 something a month. It's not expensive, and it will save you hours of searches. So the first level of use is talking to a Google. I use it as my Google, or because I can ask, like, for example, find me I don't know, give me I did this for one of my clients. Give me the websites and the phone numbers and the emails of companies that help you acquire medical practices and ophthalmology in Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
And then another one was give me companies that do nurse practitioner and physician collaboration and telemedicine platforms with strong strong compliance policies. Give me the top five. So, automatically you can spend hours on Google, or in like a minute, it'll give you, top 5 or 10. So that's like the first level. And then the second level, I would say, is to create your own GPT for your business, your household, your real estate. Have you done that yet, or have you for your business?
Tell us more. What's that?
Oh yeah. So you can uh train ChatGPT, there's different threads that it doesn't remember everything about the prior threads, right? But you can go to the top left, there is a explore GPTs, and then you go to the top right, there is create a GPT, and in that you will load up everything about your business or your household, or like say real estate rental, like our short-term rental. So you load the files. What do you load? The first thing is you say incorporate all the information on my website if you have a website to learn about yourself. Then you say upload all the files, like if you have transcripts of these podcasts full transcripts, just say incorporate all this and learn my style and learn my clients' pain points and takeaways. And so you feed it as much as possible. If you have an avatar worksheet for your business, like your ideal client, their challenges, you just load it. The more information you load it, the smarter it gets. And then later on, same thing with our short-term rental. Like we load it with a bunch of information. Same thing with our household. We load it with who we are, what are our values, what do we usually like to eat, what do we cook for a toddler? Because for the household, you can actually come up with meal plans and have it add to cart. There's a plugin you can add it to cart to Instacart of like the meals that you want to create. Okay, so after you load it up, you create a GPT for your business. Examples would be create like say a business plan, I don't know, in like a five-year plan, 1-year plan, or perhaps create a social media post for Facebook, Instagram, utilizing my clients' top pain points, etc. So I'll stop there to see if you have any questions.
Yeah, this is interesting. I think a lot of people are going to be curious about how it can help in their household to save them time. So you gave us an example of how it could choose a meal plan and what you can make for the toddler and then put all those things into your shopping list. I think that's fantastic. Is there anywhere else that it saved you time in your household duties, time together at home, things like that?
Yeah, I would say for the household, it's more like instead of like the GPT, household GPT, well, actually, no. So example, going to Nashville because it knows our household, created like a plan or, sightseeing places that's fitting for like a baby, like a 3-month-old and a toddler. So it did that. Searching for swimming schools that meets these criteria, give me the websites and the phone numbers. Yeah, things like that. I think those are some examples. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, exactly. I think this is really interesting. I like that. Okay, we want to go on holiday. We've got 5 days. Where should we go? We've got, a 2-year-old and a 3-month-old. That's fantastic, right? Because you
Yes,
could sit the number of times we've sat and tried to figure out flight schedules, where are we going? What are the best places to see when we're there? That takes hours.
exactly. So if you
It's
use
fun.
this,
It's
oh my
fun
God.
hours, but it's still hours.
Yes. This just cuts it by more than 50%. It's amazing. And you can change your prompts where, I like a little more adventure. No, I want to actually more breaks. Another thing I'll tell you how I use it for household. I want like to go on hikes with that are stroller friendly, and it will just automatically create the itinerary. This is like the bedtime for my toddlers and my baby. Make sure that they're not, and then you can feed it to GPT, when you create it. Their nap time is this, my toddler nap time is this. Make sure you have itinerary that fits that.
Yeah.
I also used it to come up with date ideas. I just used
Yes.
it like 2 weeks ago. I said I wanted like to plan a date in the city that is more adventure like, because at first it was more like things that's not our type. And then it brought us to a VR place where we played video games with virtual reality, and it was super fun. So those are some examples.
There we go. That is great. Okay. And then you said you're using it with your short-term rental. So real estate, adding real estate portfolio to yourself is a big learning curve, I'm going to say, if
Yes.
you're not currently having real estate. And then there's a whole lot of things that go along with being a real estate investor. And then you said you bring AI into your short-term rentals. What give us examples of how that happens? What do you use it for there?
Yeah. So there's it's backing up a little bit. There's GPTs already created for real estate that can say like analyze your market, the best market, and they can. I haven't used it yet for cash on cash. They can probably generate the cash on cash Excel for you to review it, but it's definitely not going to be perfect. You have to review it. And we use it for our short-term rental. We feed it all the info, our clientele, etc. And then we have it generate like protocols, policies, maybe client waivers, contracts, like lots of stuff that you can generate for your business. It'll just do it for you. Responses, automated messages too that we send to clients. How do we make it better, etc. How do we, for example, What what promotion tactics can we do to increase our booking, and what has the best ROI? So it came up with all the tactics that could increase our booking and then rank them by percentage ROI.
That's fun. That's very
Yeah.
fun.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very
Yeah.
fun. Ha! Okay, so you had initially, we're talking about saving hours in your week. We can see now some of that real time, how this could save you time when it comes to managing a short-term rental, managing a household, figuring out where to go on holidays and dates, what even to cook for supper, shopping. That's a lot of time already saved. So anything about your clinical day that it may not have even been in AI, where you made significant measurable difference to the length of the day, the way you were doing things, that you could walk us through some of those times?
Oh, yes, that's a really great point. I would say if your time blocking and mindset's not right, then it will help, but it's the mindset and time blocking that comes first, actually, before AI. Because otherwise you're probably going to be in a reactive mode all day, instead of proactive mode. And so, that's what you're asking, right? Time
Yeah, that's
blocking,
right.
mindset,
Yeah.
right? I would say, let me see if I can do it in a succinct way. First, you know your outcomes, 5 goals in the year. First, you know your outcomes when you're like 85, 95. Then your life vision. Then you have 5 goals for the year. And then after that, you time block. You go to bed early, and then you wake up early. That's like the most important part. And then you wake up before the kids wake up, and you have like 1 or 2 hours, maybe even 30 minutes of undistracted flow block to tackle top 3 priorities that moves the needle of your 5 goals. It can be top 3 priorities for one goal one day, and then switch goals and the top 3 priorities for that goal the next day. And you set your non-negotiables so that your work never interferes with those non-negotiables. And what I mean, for example, my non-negotiables: 3 weightlifting sessions a week, 1 recovery self-care sessions like chiropractor, massage, or like PT sessions a week, weekly dates with my husband, and then morning block, evening block with my kids that work doesn't interfere with that at all. I think those are probably the basics, and then you can go even further of becoming indistractable. So what I mean is like no phones. Like if you're really bad, you take your phones outside the office. I would show you no notifications, all that stuff. My phone is always pretty much black and white. It's grayscaled.
Mhm.
So you can grayscale your phone. I would say for your audience, if they don't do anything else, if they just take one action, is to Google how to grayscale your phone and make your
Mhm.
phone black and white. And that will make you less susceptible to the dopamine hits of the phones, and then make your home screen super plain. The
Mhm.
more phone use, the less flow you're in, the less productive you are. So, and then moving everything, that's messaging, email, whatever, to the second screen. And I have a second screen called inbox right here, and
Mhm.
everything is there. I delete all my badges, notifications. I have nothing on lock screen. I have nothing that drops down, and I batch check my messages when I need to. And I have a business phone for people when they need to get a hold of me. That is to start, I would say,
That is a
the
good start.
basic
Good.
foundation. And to make sure you get at least enough REM sleep and deep sleep, I would say that would definitely be the foundation. If you don't do that and you wake up early, then you're not going to be productive if you try to wake up early to be productive, but you're actually just going to be slow when you're sleep deprived.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Okay, now we're going to have those, because you're emergency critical care and you work in NASA. I'm sure you get many things about those shifts that happen. How do we contain what's happening at work so it's not spilling over into that evening? So you come home, you might spend that time with the kids, but then you have leftover work before you can get into bed. what are some of the things that you might just do it and not realize that it's a super skill, but how do you kind of contain the work to the work day so that it doesn't keep spilling out into these other areas that you really want to protect? But when you kind of feel like you're hammered at work, there's going to be spill.
Are you talking more about charting or
It could be
something
chatting,
else?
but it could also be things that come in on the inbox. It could be the way you work through the day where you're getting interrupted by the nurses. Here's, this ECG to look at, and you're in the middle of thinking about this other patient. And you kind of, critical care is not just, I get to sit with this patient for the next 2 hours and then move to the next one. There's kind of like a busyness expectation there, or even the roles that you keep as within NASA. There may be emails from different teams that you're working with. When does that work get done? How are you thinking about the day so that that work is done when it's allocated time for that?
Okay. Yeah, there's a few things I would say. If we're talking about strictly during work, how do I get work done without getting distracted?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have email notifications on. I batch
Mm-hmm.
check my emails. Most things can be done 24 hours later. There's very few things. I'm talking about NASA work. ER work
Mm-hmm.
and ICU work is different, of course. But so I have my top three priorities for work, for NASA work already set the night before. And then in the morning, during my morning hour, before work even starts, I typically get to tackle them already and get them done before people start waking up and the meetings start. So
Mm-hmm.
that's how I tackle, and I batch check my emails. And when I set my non-negotiable time, like this 5 in the morning when the kids drop off, and then like 5 to 8 when they're awake,
Yeah.
I just don't. I mean, my work laptop and my work phone is put away, so
Yeah.
I don't even know what. There's nothing emergent. There's people on call after 5. There are other physicians on call after 5 if needed. With the ER work, yes. Any ICU too, but definitely ER. Yeah, EKG, sign this, sign this, sign this. And I used to be, before I dove into this, yes, I used to be more distractible. Like I would just
Mm-hmm.
stop what I'm doing, my orders or whatever, and actually sign the EKG. But often, yes, it can wait a minute for me to
Mm-hmm.
finish orders. I've gotten really good at one thing at a time. I can only do one thing at a time. I'm going to finish these orders. I'm going to finish these notes, and then next, and next, and next, and then have a priority list of like what patient to see next, a checkbox of what's pending. Does that answer your question a little bit about work? It's really a discipline that you practice. It's a muscle you practice to not deviate until you're done with this, to take 1, 2 more minutes to finish your charting or your orders or whatever you're doing.
Yeah. So just kind of pulling that apart to see your superpowers here a little bit. So what I heard was when I go to my emails, I'm there to do the work. I'm not there to just sticky beak and see what's in there. No, I've set aside this time to go in and handle those things. That I see
Mhm.
it and handle it. I'm only looking at it when I have the time to do it.
And actually, the day before, I pull up the assets I need. So what I mean is the day before, at the end of the day, there's a shutdown routine. I'm already setting my top three priorities I need for work. And if there's a document or there are slideshows I need to review, I'm not going into my emails to look at them. They're already like downloaded, pulled up, ready to go on the computer. So the next day, I'm not even planning. I'm just doing.
Got it. Yes, that's right. So the make a plan and carry it out is just extra effort for our brain. You're going to show up to do the work. Yeah.
In the morning, yeah, when you're fresh. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And then at work, you're saying, I try really hard unless there's something significantly more important to drag me away from this, to just push in to get it done right now. So
Yes.
then you go into the next thing, more clean slate, knowing that I have on my other side of my desk here the things that still are pending. And I'm coming back to them in order, but as things come up, I'm doing that thing. And then I'll move to
Mhm.
the next thing. And I do one thing at a time. I heard you say, like we love to get inside your head. What is it saying to you all day? It's saying, I can only do one thing at a time. And I love that. It is so
Yeah,
true.
one patient at a time, one thing at a time.
That's right. And you've
Okay.
got 10 patients on the go. It's not that you are limiting yourself to one exclusive patient at a time. There's multiple going on, but the one in front of me is having my attention right now.
Yes, and I never very rarely, and I'll let you continue. I knew you were about to say something, but I very rarely let my two patients go without starting most of the chart, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I never have more than two chart build up. So after one or two patients, like I use Dragon with the quick templates, and usually most of the chart, and even if they're going to be discharged, it's already kind of like written up, ready to go while the mind is fresh after I see them. I may do some changes, of course, at the end, but I never let it build up, very rarely to like 3 notes I have to write, because it's just that mental cognitive pressure that I don't want that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that specific skill within the emergency department saves hours at the end of the shift, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hours and hours. We've seen it over and over and over and over and over and over with emergency department physicians and clinicians, that if we can do this, I can only do one thing at a time. I'm doing the thing in front of me right now. I'm not going to let this build up to the end, even on crazy days. There may be, you're right, the setting aside. Now I have 3 or 4, but I'm not all of them for the whole day.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
So
I
good.
agree. And I leave on time now, typically, because I sign them out, but the notes are signed and ready to go. Typically, unless on the sign outs ones, then I leave them open. But what I need, I don't have to put in more info really. It's just for the other physicians to update. So yeah, I have not really left late because of charting. I've only left late unless I'm in a procedure, intubating or doing central line or something like that.
Okay, that's massive right there, right? I leave on time. It's like, what? How did she leave on time in this climate, in these emergency departments? Like, you guys, it's possible. I think that's super important. It's possible. It does take effort to redesign this, but hey, if you want more hours back, you can. So good. How do people find you if they're interested in learning more, figuring out what you do, working with you?
Yeah, thank you for that. And I'm going to back up just really quickly. I think of my kids as my primary driver for finishing charting
Mhm.
because I need to go home and sleep so that I can be ready for them. Or I need to, yeah, I actually don't work when they're awake. Most of the time,
Mhm.
they're not awake. If I do take a shift, it's very rarely. And so I think in my mind that this is for them. If I don't leave on time, then can't be present with them. So find your why of why you need to finish charting. And for a lot of you guys, it's your kids.
Yeah.
And another thing is download the action for you guys is the grayscaling your phone. And if you use Gmail, I would download Inbox when ready. Inbox when ready, when you log into Gmail, it is a blank slate until you press show inbox so you don't get distracted by how many emails you have. It was a game changer for me. When you go in there, you just compose or search for the people you know you need to respond to or the important people. And then you respond to that first before you show inbox. And that is what I do with my Outlook email at NASA too. If there's a bunch of stuff, I only search for the important people. I respond to those or review those first, and then I look at the rest where it doesn't really require my response. Okay, I
Wow.
want to make sure I get that out there before
Yeah, totally.
before we
Thank
move on.
you.
And yeah, so you can find me in productivitymd.com. You can join the mastermind. Like the link to the Facebook has the mastermind link. You can join the private group, and I post videos multiple times a week on these tips. You'll find me on Instagram as well, and Facebook and LinkedIn. Essentially, yeah, it's all Productivity MD. Or on social media, it is Tsung MD. On productivitymd.com, if this resonates with you, then you're free to book. Like currently, what I offer is 1 year transformational one-on-one coaching. There might be more later where there will be asynchronous video course and group coaching, but right now it is one-on-one because I am still working full-time with NASA. You're free to book a 15-minute discovery call with me to see if you can apply and this is the right thing for you. And thank you so much, Sarah, for having me on here so that I can, spread this message to more physicians out there who need their time back for their loved ones, because I've seen them feeling guilty a lot of times. I don't know if you've seen that, but I've seen that with them. They're just like guilty that they can't spend more time with their kids.
100%. Yeah. Thank you so much for this conversation. You guys all have a wonderful week. Thanks again.
Thank you, Sarah. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being part of the Sustainable Clinical Medicine podcast. If you'd like to learn more or join us to help you get home with today's work done, go to chartingcoach.ca. There you'll find all the information on the premier Lifetime Access Charting Champions program that is helping physicians get home with today's work done, with all the proven tools, support, and community you need to create time for your life outside of medicine. We would love to see you there. Until next time, thanks for listening.